The year is 1401, the late Middle Ages. In a thriving city of stone and timber, there is one man everyone knows, yet no one speaks to. One man who touches the lives of nobles and peasants alike, yet whose touch is considered a curse. He is the executioner, the master of high works. To you, he is a figure of horror, a hooded nightmare standing on a wooden scaffold. But look closer. Beneath the hood there is a face. Beneath the blood-stained leather there is a father, a husband, a skilled professional. He is not a murderer, he is the final arm of the law. He is a necessary evil in a society obsessed with sin and punishment. But the price of his office is absolute isolation. He cannot enter a church. He cannot drink in a tavern. No honest man will shake his hand for fear that his social leprosy will rub off. He is dead to society while he is still alive. He is wealthy, yet he cannot spend his coin. He is powerful, yet he has no friends. Over the next 24 hours, you will walk in his boots. You will see the world through the islets of his hood. You will smell the fear of the condemned and taste the bitterness of rejection. From the moment he wakes in his isolated home outside the city walls, to the bloody climax of his workday on the scaffold, you will understand the burden of the axe. This is not just a story of death. It is a story of survival. Welcome to the life of the most hated man in the Middle Ages. Welcome to the day of the executioner. The sun rises over the city walls. For most, it brings the promise of trade and gossip. For Thomas, our executioner, it brings the daily reminder of his exile. He lives here in this sturdy house just outside the city limits. By law, he cannot live within the walls. His neighbors are lepers, prostitutes, and the very poor, the only people who have no choice but to live near the man who deals in death. His morning routine is strangely domestic. He checks his equipment not with bloodlust, but with the meticulous care of a surgeon. A dull blade is a cruel blade, and a botched execution could result in the crowd stoning him to death. He prays for a steady hand, even if the church won't let him pray inside their doors. As he walks toward the city gates, the guards do not greet him. They look at their feet. They fear his shadow, a medieval superstition that even the executioner's shadow brings bad luck. He heads to the market, but he carries no coin purse. He doesn't need one. He has the right of Havage. By law, he can take a portion of goods from the market vendors. A loaf of bread, a cut of meat, a basket of vegetables. It sounds like a privilege, but look at the faces of the merchants. They don't hand him the food. They push it away, anxious to be rid of him. They will likely throw away whatever his hand touched but didn't take. To them, he is infected. He walks through the crowded streets, a bubble of silence moving with him. The crowd parts like water. No one makes eye contact. This is his morning walk, a lonely parade of one. 9 o'clock. The city is bustling, but the executioner isn't on the scaffold yet. You see, killing is only a small part of his job. Most of his income comes from the tasks no one else will touch. In 1401, the executioner is also the city's official scavenger. He is the master of the sewers, the king of the cesspits. If a horse dies in the street and begins to rot, citizens don't call a cleaner, they call him. Only he has the right to touch the unclean dead. He taxes the prostitutes and the lepers. It's a grim bureaucracy. He collects fees from the brothels, ensuring they operate within the city's strict moral codes while profiting from their sin. He evicts lepers who wander too close to the healthy, herding them back to their colonies like lost sheep. Watch his hands. The same hands that will sever a head this afternoon are now dragging a bloated pig carcass from a gutter. The smell is atrocious, a mix of decay and sewage that clings to his clothes. This is why people won't touch him. It's not just fear of death, it's fear of filth. He is the city's immune system, removing the waste that could kill the population. It is honest work, essential work. But it earns him no gratitude. As he cleans the streets so the nobility can walk without soiling their shoes, they turn their noses up at him. He clears the path for civilization, and civilization spits in his footprint. 11 o'clock. The sun is high, but down here it is always night. The executioner enters the torture chamber. Contrary to popular belief, he is not a sadist. In 1401, torture is a strictly regulated legal procedure called the question. It is not about punishment, it is about truth. A confession is required for a conviction, and it is his job to extract it, precisely without killing the prisoner. The room is cold. It smells of damp stone, rust, and old fear. A scribe sits at a desk with a quill, ready to record every scream and every word. A magistrate stands in the corner, representing the king. The executioner is merely the technician. He inspects his instruments, the rack, the strappato, the thumbscrews. He knows exactly how many turns of the screw will break a bone, and how many will simply crush the flesh. He must walk a razor's edge, inflicting enough pain to break the will, but not so much that the prisoner dies before the public execution. A dead prisoner in the dungeon is a failure of his craft. The prisoner is brought in, a thief or perhaps a murderer. He trembles. The executioner does not mock him. He speaks calmly, explaining the instruments, urging the man to confess and save himself the agony. It is a psychological game. Often the mere sight of the tools is enough. But when it isn't, the work begins. It is slow, methodical, and devoid of anger. Just a job. Just the law. High noon. The church bells toll 12 times. The city gates of the justice hall swing open. It is time for the procession. In the Middle Ages, an execution is not just a legal procedure. It is the greatest show on earth. It is theater, morality play, and festival all rolled into one. And the executioner is the stage manager. He leads the condemned out into the blinding sunlight. The prisoner is bound in a cart or dragged on a hurdle, a wooden sled pulled by a horse. The executioner walks beside him, or rides a horse if he is a master of high standing. The noise is deafening. The crowd screams, jeers, and throws rotten vegetables. But notice the executioner's demeanor. He does not join in the mockery. He is the protector of the condemned right now. He must ensure the prisoner arrives at the scaffold alive and in one piece. If the mob kills the prisoner beforehand, the executioner has failed his duty to the king. He wears his official garb now, perhaps a red tunic or a specific hood. He looks terrifying, but his mind is racing with logistics. Is the crowd too unruly? Is the route clear? Is the prisoner fainting? To the crowd, he is a monster. But to the prisoner, he is the only person left in the world who interacts with them. He often offers a final drink of wine or a steadying hand. It is a strange, intimate bond formed in the shadow of the axe. The killer and the killed, walking together through a storm of hatred. One o'clock. The moment of truth. This is the most dangerous part of the day, not for the prisoner but for the executioner. If he fails to kill in one stroke, the crowd will turn on him. They will storm the scaffold and tear him apart. A botched execution is seen as cruelty, and the mob loves to punish a cruel executioner. The pressure is immense. He is a professional athlete of death. He must account for the angle of the sun, the thickness of the prisoner's neck, the sweat on his palms. Before the act, a crucial ritual takes place, the pardon. The executioner kneels before the condemned and asks for forgiveness. "Forgive me, for I am but the arm of justice," he says. The prisoner must grant it. It frees the executioner from the spiritual sin of murder. Then the gift. The prisoner often gives the executioner a coin or a piece of clothing. A tip. A bribe to ensure a sharp blade and a swift end. The prisoner kneels. The crowd holds its breath. The executioner raises the sword. He doesn't chop like a woodcutter. He swings with the fluidity of a fencer. Whoosh, thud. If he is good, the head falls before the body realizes it is dead. If he is good, the crowd cheers his skill. For a brief moment, he is not a pariah. He is a star. But only for a moment.
Justice has been served.
2 o'clock. The crowd has dispersed to the taverns to drink and discuss the show. But for the executioner, the work is not done. Now begins the lonely journey to the gallows field. often located miles outside the city gates. He must transport the body. The head, parboiled in cumin and salt to preserve it, will be placed on a spike at the city gate, but the torso must go to the stone gibbet. This is a place of nightmares. A forest of stone pillars and wooden beams where dozens of bodies hang in various stages of decay. The smell hits you a mile away. It is a no-man's land where the birds are always circling. He arrives with his cart. He must hoist the corpse up a ladder. It is heavy, dead weight. He chains it to the beam. This is not for punishment anymore. The man is dead. This is for display, a rotting billboard warning against crime. The executioner works alone here, surrounded by the rattling bones of his past victims. The wind whistles through the rib cages. The crows do not fear him. They know he brings dinner. It is hard physical labor. He is a janitor of death. He checks the chains of older bodies. If a skeleton falls, he must bury it in the unconsecrated ground beneath the gibbet. The church wants nothing to do with these souls. They belong to him. As he works, he might see a family watching from a distance, relatives of the condemned coming to say a silent, forbidden prayer. He ignores them. He knows they hate him for desecrating the body, but he is bound by law. If he lets them take the body for burial, he hangs in its place. "4 o'clock. The executioner returns to his isolated home. But his workday is not over. In a strange twist of irony, the man who kills is also the man who heals. In 1401, doctors are expensive, rare, and often useless. The executioner, however, knows the human body better than anyone. He knows exactly how much pressure breaks a bone, so he knows exactly how to set one. He knows anatomy from the inside out. Citizens who wouldn't touch him in the street now come sneaking to his back door. They come for his skills. He sets fractures, treats skin diseases, and lances boils. But they also come for something darker. The corpse medicine. Medieval medicine believes that the body of an executed man, cut down in the prime of life, contains a powerful vital force. The executioner sells vials of human fat as a cure for rheumatism. He sells powdered skull for epilepsy. He sells strips of skin for amulets. It is a gruesome side hustle, but a lucrative one. The same people who spit on him in the marketplace gold in his hand for a jar of hangman's grease. They are ashamed to be here. They cover their faces. They don't speak. He treats them with the same professional detachment he uses on the scaffold. He is the city's dark doctor, the only one who will touch the untouchable, the only one who can turn death into a cure.
He knows the power people ascribe to his objects, even if he himself sees them only as tools.
"6 o'clock. The sun has set. The executioner locks his heavy oak door. The world outside is shut away. Inside, a different reality exists. If you could look through the window, you wouldn't see a dungeon. You would see a scene of surprising comfort. Executioners were often wealthy. They were paid by the city, took fees from brothels, and sold medicines. His table is set with pewter plates, not wood. There is meat, wine, and white bread, luxuries that a common peasant could only dream of. But this wealth is a golden cage. Look at his wife. She is not a local woman. No local father would ever let his daughter marry a headsman. She is likely the daughter of another executioner from a distant city. They are a caste apart, an intercity dynasty of death. His sons will become executioners. His daughters will marry executioners. They have no choice. The stain of the profession is hereditary. At dinner, they do not talk about the day's work. They talk about the garden, the children, the weather. It is a desperate attempt at normalcy. But the silence of the city outside is deafening. No neighbors stop by. No friends drop in for ale. The children play on the floor. They are well fed and clothed in fine wool. But they have no playmates. Their only friends are each other. They are growing up in a fortress of solitude, already marked by the shadow of their father's sword. He looks at them with a heavy heart. He knows their future is already written. In 1401, you are what your father is. There is no escape. 9 o'clock. The family sleeps. The executioner does not. He sits by the dying fire, sharpening his blade for tomorrow. In the silence of the night, the adrenaline fades and the ghosts arrive. Medieval people are deeply superstitious. They believe the executioner absorbs the sins of those he kills. He is a sin-eater. He wonders, does he carry their souls? He thinks of the man he beheaded at noon, the eyes that looked at him, the trembling hands. He is not a psychopath, he is a man doing a job. But the job takes a toll. He checks the locks. Not to keep thieves out. No thief dares enter the hangman's house, but to keep the evil eye out. He has amulets hidden in the doorframe. Iron nails, dried herbs. He protects himself from the spiritual pollution of his trade. He pours a cup of strong wine. He needs it to sleep. His dreams are filled with the faces of the condemned, the screams of the torture chamber. Outside, the city guards walk the walls. They look down at his dark house and shiver. They are glad they are not him. But as he sits there in the flickering light, he knows something they don't. He knows the fragility of life. He knows that justice is just a man with a sword. He is the keeper of the city's conscience, doing the dirty work so they can sleep with clean hands. Midnight approaches. The fire turns to ash. Another day is coming. Another warrant. Another neck. Dawn breaks again. The year 1401 moves forward. But the story of the executioner didn't end there. For centuries, these dynasties of death continued. In France, the Sanson family served as executioners for over 200 years, passing the sword from father to son until the invention of the guillotine. They lived as outcasts, marrying only within their own grim circle, trapped by their own bloodline. Today, their swords hang in museums. Cold steel behind glass. Look closely at the inscriptions engraved on the blades. When I lift this sword, I wish the sinner eternal life. A prayer etched into the very instrument of death. We look back at the medieval executioner with horror. We see a barbarian in a hood. But he was not a monster. He was a mirror. He was the creation of a society that demanded order but refused to get its hands dirty. He was the scapegoat who carried the collective violence of the state. The public scaffold is gone. We have hidden death away behind prison walls. We have sanitized justice. But the fundamental question remains, who does the dirty work? The executioner of 1401 had no friends and no respect. He lived in silence so the town could scream. He walked in blood so the law could remain spotless. Remember him not as a villain, but as the loneliest man in history. The man who did what was asked of him and was hated for it. No friends, no respect. Just the sword, the silence, and the duty.